Peace, YouTube. This is Shaun Young, virtual wholesaling coach out of Atlanta, Georgia. And guys, I've got a treat for you today. I sit down with my good friend Jamil Damji, the co-host of A&E's Triple Digit Flip, to talk about how he's made his millions in real estate. You don't want to miss this one. See you in a second.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Jamil, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what market you're in?
Absolutely. So my name is Jamil Damji. I am located in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I live. That's where my corporate office is for KeyGlee. I was born in Los Angeles, grew up in Canada, actually. My parents moved me from LA to Calgary, Alberta at the age of 5. So I grew up in the fresh mountain, cool, brisk Canadian wilderness. Not really, because Calgary is actually a big city. But I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, which is where I did my first wholesale deal, actually. I actually rode the real estate wave from 2002 to 2006, wholesaling by accident. I got into the business really walking for dollars. I heard of a builder looking for a specific type of property, and he couldn't find it. He needed this kind of property to demolish so he could build these duplexes in the inner city over there. And while I was walking my dog the next day after hearing this guy griping about looking for these properties, I called a for rent sign, and I talked to that landlord and asked if they'd be interested in potentially selling that house rather than renting it. And she said, yeah, for the right price. And I asked what that number was. She said $350,000. The builder was willing to pay $400,000 for that deal. So wow. I actually was able to wholesale that transaction to that builder, made a $50,000 check on my first ever deal. I was completely self-taught. I had, this is 2002. There's really, the internet is just in its infancy. There's no, gurus online. There's no AstroFlipping. There's no
prop streams. There's no
prop stream.
No, none of that good stuff, right?
Nothing. There was just some grit, right? And I successfully did quite well in that model up until the real estate crash in 2008. And then 2008, I actually went bankrupt, lost everything because I ended up deciding to leave my core competency, which was wholesale. And I decided to get into real estate development in around 2006, 2007. So I got caught in high leverage situations when the market crashed. And decided to try my hand in a different career altogether. So I left real estate and moved to Los Angeles to become a comedian. So I actually did comedy in LA on the circuit there from 2008 to 2012. But real estate always called me back. I love real estate. It's in my DNA. Of course, because I was able to, do my first deal without any training. It's how I think. I love buildings. I love understanding property. I love understanding the numbers of it. And so 2012, I left Los Angeles for Phoenix, Arizona, and didn't look back. I started KeyGlee in 2016. And that is, for those of you that aren't aware, KeyGlee is a wholesale disposition company. So we focus on helping wholesalers sell their deals. So if you've ever been in a situation where you had a contract on a house and you were trying to sell that contract and couldn't find a buyer for it, well, because of KeyGlee, that'll never happen again. And so what we were doing is servicing wholesalers in the Arizona area with their contracts. As you know, Arizona is a hotbed for wholesalers and wholesale gurus. A lot of training, a lot of trainers live here. A lot of people learn the market or learn the business model from trainers that are here in Arizona. And so what we did is we began by assisting wholesalers in finding buyers for their deals locally. And what we found was that there was such a need for this on a national level that last year in 2020, we actually franchised our model and now have over 180 franchises across the country in a very short amount of time. So it's been an explosive growth. Since then, for those of you that may not know as well, I travel around the country with my best friend and competitor, Pace Morby. And him and I are actually slated to be on an A&E television show in August of this year as well. So things have been growing. It's pretty nutty.
That is phenomenal, man. That is phenomenal, man. I love just how your story started off with, like you say, you're like, I didn't know anything. I just kind of took action. I knew what I wanted to get to, but I didn't really know how I was going to get there, but I just took action. That is awesome. And that is what this show is all about, really breaking it down step by step on what it takes. And a lot of folks think it takes, sometimes going to school or sometimes it's not that. It just really takes the determination and the will to want to succeed. And you just broke that down so clearly, brother. And so congrats on that success. I mean, that is awesome. I mean, you can help folks all over the country. Guys, were you hearing that? He has a company that can help you close your deal. How many times have you guys been saying, I can't find a buyer for my deal? All right, he's got a solution for you.
Yes, awesome. Sir. Yes, sir. The thing is that a lot of the trainers that are out there, God love them for helping people change their financial futures and learn how to talk to sellers and learn how to do lead generation and learn how to cold call or mail or put out bandit signs or whatever it is that they're doing, right? It's awesome. But the myth is, and I've heard this repeated over and over again, and it's not true. If the deal is good enough, the buyers will come. Not true. Not true. I have seen so many amazing deals die because no buyer was ready. No buyer was there. Absolutely. And so don't fall victim to that. Don't string homeowners along. Don't create even more reasons why people think wholesaling is unreliable or not a viable business model. And some agents even think it's illegal. It's not. But even, the reasons why these regulations are coming in, the reasons why we have sometimes a negative outlook on what wholesaling is in general is because of how poorly homeowners have been treated by wholesalers when things don't work out. Absolutely. And so what we're really trying to do is reframe the narrative.
That is so true, brother. That is absolutely 100%.
So the best way to reach me is through my social media channels. My Instagram is monitored by myself as well as one or two assistants. But you do get me there. So if you have a question for me and you want me to read it, I will find it. And you can find me on Instagram at @JDamji. So it's at JDAMJI. Also, I have a ton of free content on my YouTube channel, and that's just at youtube.com/Jamil Damji. So my full name is JAMILDAMJI. Those are the two primary ways to find me. You can also find me every Monday night on a podcast that I do with two of my best friends and competitors, Brent Daniels and Pace Morby, on our Wholesale Hotline podcast. You can find that on my YouTube page, Brent Daniels' YouTube page, as well as Pace Morby's. Those would be the best ways to interact with me if anyone feels so inclined.
And that is an awesome podcast, guys. Make sure you do check that out. I've listened in myself, and it is phenomenal. Lots of great value there, guys. So, Jamil, how would you describe, what are the steps that someone would need to take if they're doing a few deals, here and there? How would they scale their real estate business to get to your level?
So great question, right? And that was the thing for me. So when I was a young investor in Phoenix, just getting going, I was getting I had my footings. I really wanted to grow. I really wanted to build a world-class wholesale operation. I wanted to build a company that was national. And that was the first thing that I did. So I would say begin with the exit in mind. Say that again. Begin with the exit in mind. So if you want to build something scalable, you want to build something scaled, you probably want to sell it, right? Why do you want to build something so big? So that you have an asset, so that there's a company that's viable. So you got to think about that ahead of time. All the way from, what do you name it? Can it be trademarked? Are those trademarks available? Is the .com available? And so you'll find that we have an unusual name for our company, KeyGlee, which is essentially came out of a meditation session that I had. And it was essentially the mashup of give us your keys and we'll give you happiness. Key and glee. We put those two words together, and that was the company. Because it was a made up word, finding the .com was very easy for us. It was 99 cents. The trademark was available because no one had even said the word before. And there you go. You know, what was Uber before Uber, right? A word, right? And now it's an entire method of transportation, right? It's synonymous with getting around. And so you got to start with the exit in mind. You need to think about, first off, you know, what am I naming this? Secondly, what is the heart? What is the culture of this company? What am I trying to do? You know, I always look at the world of being divided into two fields, fear and love, right? Those are the two things we have. And you can have a wholesale or an entrepreneurial business that's built on fear. And you can see what that looks like if you've watched the movie Wolf of Wall Street, right? Where you have all of these people just terrified of not doing well, terrified of doing less than the next guy, terrified of not making more, terrified of losing. And it's a kill or be killed, cutthroat type of way to be. Now, business can thrive in there, but I can also tell you what'll happen is that in the end, you end up on an island all alone. And no one likes you, right? Because the things that you do in fear aren't always good, right? They hurt people. It hurts people. It's very exclusionary. It lives on the idea that you are separate from everybody else. The opposite of that is love, right? We built our company on a foundation of love. And we take the idea that all human beings and all living things are connected. And so if there's something that I'm looking for in the world, I can have that brought to me through my connected brother or sister, the way that you even call your company, connected investors, very ideal in that sense, is that we're all connected, every one of us, and that through our connectivity, we get to the end result faster, better, more efficiently, and with greater results and more people winning. And so understanding the culture is, again, the second step to that. The next thing is, who are you going to be working with? Don't work with business partners that are like you. Now, I've seen this happen over and over again where people go into business with their friends. It's the worst thing, because your friends are your friends because you guys are alike, right? You guys hang with each other because you guys do things that are alike. And that makes for a great friendship, but oftentimes very terrible business partnerships. Now, my business partners couldn't be any more different from me than you know, a pineapple and a banana, right? And so that is what I did. I found two individuals that were so amazing at what they brought to the table that I couldn't do these things. I'm not a technical guy. I'm a relationship guy. So when I was first getting into wholesale and I was doing well, I was really good at connecting and creating relationships, but I couldn't bring technology to the table because, you know, I'm an ADD guy. I don't like sitting in front of a computer. I hate clicking on a mouse. I don't even know how to type right. You know, I don't understand how to, you know, the whole QWERT keyboard way. I'm a one finger typer, you know, I just don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy systems. I don't enjoy integrations. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy people. But in order to build a scaled company, you need systems. You need competencies, which I didn't have. And so I went out and sought individuals that could bring to the table my deficiencies. And I had within me enough self understanding and awareness not to feel threatened by that. Because a lot of times the reason why we stay away from people that can do things we can't is because we don't want to be outshined. We don't want people to bring something that could create leverage over us. And that is a fear-based way to live. And so when you flip the script into a place of love, you stop looking at people in that way. You start seeing what you can add and what they can add, and the relationships thrive in that energy. because everybody is there to thrive. And so I'd say the next thing is be very careful about who you're bringing into your organization, and make sure that they provide something that you need and that you don't have. And then the next thing I would say is really understand your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? For us, I wanted to do a deal in every major city in the United States. That was my goal. I wanted to be able to do deals across the country. I wanted to build a company that I could take a $250 million exit on. No joke. That is my number. And how was I going to get there without it being massively big? Wow. Right? And so you have to keep these things in mind. And when you start with these objectives and you understand your goals, where you're going, you now have a path. Now, you don't need to know what the next step is. You just need to know what your goal is and take one step. And the next step will find its way to you. And so on and so forth.
So powerful, Jamil. So powerful and so true. Man, you just laid it all out on the table. Thank you so much for being transparent with our audience. I mean, that's what we love, is when folks really come from the heart. And I can tell that you are coming from the heart on this. You're giving it up raw and uncut. There's no fluff here. I mean, you're telling people exactly what they need to know. Come from a position of love, servitude, and things will be much different than if you're trying to force and you have a hateful and such a competitive scarcity mentality. It's a different world when you just shift your mindset, guys. Shift your mindset, calm things down.
100%. Absolutely.
Jamil, let me ask you this. What do you think your life would be like if you never got started in real estate that day and made that first $50,000 commission?
It's tough to say. I don't know, man. I see how difficult life is for a lot of people out there. It's not easy. It's not easy to make money. It's not easy to take care of your family. It's all of these things are difficult, and especially right now with the pandemic and all that we've had in our life, in this last year, we've brought that. It's been shoved in our faces even more, right? Even more of just how difficult life can get. And so, what I would say is that you really, you really don't know where you'd end up. I mean, my first job was at Taco Bell, right? The job that I was working in when I overheard that builder talking was actually, I was in a media company that I had started with that builder's son. And every time we sold a website, we lost $100. Wow. That's so I don't know. I think I would have been an entrepreneur still, because I've always been that way. I always figured out ways I could make money. I always figured out ways I could be of value to people. So I don't think that I'd be a bum, but I don't know. Would I be as successful as I am today? I hope. I don't know.
Indeed. Well, that is awesome. Well, Jamil, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. And lastly, what we have at the end of each show is what's called the rapid fire section. And this is where we basically ask you some questions, and you just give us the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
7.
Okay. Get up early or stay up late?
Get up early.
How many hours of sleep do you get each night?
7.
Favorite or last book read?
Favorite book is The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Tupac.
Something everyone should do less of?
Make excuses.
Something everyone should do more of?
Listen to Tupac.
Bitcoin, bang or bust?
No interest.
Will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
Will people what?
Will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
God willing.
Wow, man, I was smiling so much. You're like, Tupac. That's the first time anyone has ever said Tupac as a superhero. Usually like Superman, Batman, Iron Man. You so much, brother, for being an awesome guest.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
With this crown on my head, I'm seated on the throne. The top is so alone. Only thing that keeps me going is I know my city love me. I know my city love me. I know my city love me. I know my city love me.